Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 45 of our WWE 2021 save and TEW 2020. This is our state of WWE for October 2021, which we always go through and kind of give you an idea of where things stand with the company now, as we are, 4 or 5 months into the save? We started in June, so I guess that's 4 months into it. So we're coming off of a very good Unforgiven show. You guys seem to really enjoy that. And of course, we had a big debut on Unforgiven. But if you don't want to be spoiled as to what that is, I would highly recommend you go watch that first because we are going to talk a little bit about that spoiler in this, in addition to some other things. Let's jump in to some of the stuff to give you sort of an idea on where things stand. We'll look at the popularity in a second, but if we look at our size, we now are back up to that 77 range. That would be what we needed to achieve big, but we are in the cooling down period and all that good stuff. So we got a couple more months in that before we'll be able to get out of the cooling down period after that drop we had after the first couple of weeks in the save. So that is where we're at size wise. If we compare it to the rest of the world, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Yes, that shows the wrong one. All right, we will go into the company wars to give you an idea on where things are at there. So we're still the number one company in the world, no surprise. Not really a whole lot of change here with any of this when it comes to where things stand. AEW still quite a bit behind us when you look at where they're at. 62s overall, 63 in the Southeast since they are based there. So we're not really concerned about AEW right now, and we're not going to probably be unless we just decide to take our booking in a completely opposite direction. We're not going to be all that too concerned with AEW. We're the number one company in the world, and that is going to lead us into looking at, first, let's go to our creative. As you can see, not much has changed here. We still have these five who were our top five last month: Rock, Cena, Lesnar, Reigns, Becky. They're all there. And if we go through this, our next big things, hot prospects, they haven't changed. None of these really changed either. I think an interesting thing I looked at was the who's hot category. And as you can see here, we've got five people now who all have that insane amount of momentum and can do no wrong. I think that's the first time I've actually, in the save, we've had that. You have those different levels of momentum. But I'm pretty sure all five of these people are white hot at this point, and that's good to know because we've kind of tried to build it that way. So that has worked out really well. And really, when you look at these five in particular, I mean, Reigns speaks for itself. Bianca, sort of the same at this point. Bianca's been just a star on everything. I mean, Cesaro, I think, is kind of the surprising one. Although I guess when we look at it, I mean, he has had some pretty good momentum recently, but I mean, Cesaro he's got a lot going for him. And by the way, right, like he's getting his WWE Championship match here on Raw soon, so that's another step that could potentially catapult him even further. Big E, no surprise there. We'll talk about Big E more in a second after that match at Unforgiven with Goldberg, and then Drew McIntyre, who, even though he lost that match to Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam, he's just every segment he's in, and he's still hugely over, and we'll get to that in a second. What I'm really excited about, not just this part, but we only have two people that are, in the who's not category. And we've really, if we kind of look at the save, we've had like anywhere from 4 to 5 people in this range. I think like Ray has been in there, like Sami Zayn at one point I think was in here somewhere on that. So to know that really in terms of our active roster, Jeff Hardy is the only person that is in here right now because The Miz is out injured. So I am actually pretty excited about that because that takes away some of the penalties when it comes to momentum. Like I said, I mean, Ray was in there, Sami Zayn was in there, other people were in there as well. Like I'm pretty sure John Morrison at one point. So this is good to know because that helps us a little bit when it comes to the momentum standpoint of this. So that's you combine these two together with our red hot or white hot people, and we don't really have hardly anyone that's really not having a lack of momentum at this point, even if they're not winning a lot of matches, but they still have a little bit of momentum and they're not in this category. So that's good to know. Hidden Gems, pretty sure they're still the same as they've always been. Yeah, it's the same group here with that because we haven't signed any of them yet. So that is where things stand there. Let's go into looking at this part real quick because I think it's the actually first time I've shown you guys this because I've usually had something hidden in here that I didn't want to really, unveil. And this isn't going to really spoil anything. We laughed about Vince has big morale issues and has for several months now. For whatever reason, I think he was left off of SummerSlam or something. But as we remember, Vince was a part of a big storyline, and just so everyone knows, I haven't forgotten about that. That will come into play at some point down the road. But I mean there's nothing really to hide here at this point. Riddle, we know we're not re-signing him, so he'll be gone after his contract is up, which is pretty soon. And then Vince, Page have morale issues, and then we don't have anything to be spoiled here. So just wanted to show this. We do have a lot of money, in case you weren't aware. We made $5 million last month. Our prestige is up to 78, momentum 76. We've got No Mercy coming up this month, which will be a SmackDown branded show. So that is an interesting note on that. Some other things I was kind of looking around at just to give you a little bit more insight to where things are at in terms of the game itself. If we look at our merchandise, I thought it was interesting to look at this because I don't really jump into this a lot, but I always find it kind of intriguing to look at. So The Rock, our biggest merchandise pusher, as you would expect, a little bit lagging behind everyone else, I would say, when it comes to how much money they made. Since The Rock made almost $3 million, the second person is Becky at $355,000. So if you want to know why I brought back The Rock, well, The Rock's pushing the merch. And that's what we care about here. We're a t-shirt company. That's what we are. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, look, Becky's next. Then you got Daniel Bryan, Reigns. So Becky and Bryan outperforming the head of the table here. He's not going to like that. Cena right there, and we talked about Kevin Owens, right? Like we're going to look at his popularity in a second, but Kevin Owens is over, and so is Ray. Like Ray's pushing the merch. Big E's already moved to the top 10. So look at Nakamura's up there. Nakamura's someone that's been interesting in the save. We haven't done a whole lot with him, but that is something too that will change at some point. But there's kind of your look at the merch. If we go down to the 15 spot, Mr. McMahon, Edge. So there's the spot there for our merch sales and all that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I did want to show you the promises. So Samoa Joe did offer to put over Dio Madden. I don't remember when that was. That was recently. We just didn't put it into the video. But I'm just thinking, like, I just don't think I'm going to do that. I appreciate the offer from Joe here, and maybe, I don't know, maybe an injury or something, and I have to change my mind, and all of a sudden we get a Dio Madden push. I don't know, but I don't think I'm going to probably slot Samoa Joe in a spot to lose to Dio Madden, but who knows? Things may get crazy. You never know. So that is something else I wanted to show you. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here that I found interesting when I was looking through this. I guess we could look at our top 100s real quick if you want to kind of have an idea of what we've done to this point. Obviously, the run on SmackDown we've had the last couple weeks has been incredible. The best two shows in our entire series have come in our previous two editions of SmackDown. So that is good. Unforgiven, as you see here, really didn't make the top 20 at this point. Actually, no, wait. Yes, it did. What am I talking about? Unforgiven's at number 10. That's right. We had an 80. For some reason, I thought these were higher, but no. So Unforgiven still lands in the top 10. But what I like to see here is we got a lot of Septembers in there. So we built up a lot of momentum in September. And if we look at our matches, that Reigns Damian Priest match still at the top. Then you got Owens. But see here, here's what I like too. Our top 4 matches from September, we've got one here from September. So we built a lot of momentum here at this point. And that's what I like to see more than anything. If we look at our attendances, SummerSlam still the highest attendance, but only by a little bit there over Unforgiven. We won't have pay-per-view buy rates because we're on the WWE Network. Again, our ratings are going up. That's all we care about. So people are watching. Our viewership going up, and so we are doing well in that regard. All right, let's get into. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here we want to jump into. I don't think so, unless it's just stuff I'm trying to hide from you guys. So I don't want to give too much away of our plans for the future. All right, let's look at the popularity because I think that's always something that I find fascinating. You guys find fascinating. All right, what I did here is I started. Actually, we're going to start on the Raw brand. Let's do this first. So this way, I'm going to look at only the Raw and SmackDown brands because that way, if there are any surprises, they won't be spoiled. So all these people, if we look at the, I just decided to go 60 here. I made that the cutoff point on this. So AJ, as we know, we've got a pretty interesting dynamic going on with AJ right now. After he lost at Unforgiven, he fell back down in September, which he lost matches, so that's not surprising. But he jumps back up pretty quickly there for him, so that's good to know. On AJ, Bailey has hit the 70 mark. I think that's the first time she's done that in our series. Yep. So Bailey is pretty over. She's the Raw Women's Champion, so I'm not surprised by that. So we're not going to go through every single person, but I do want to point out some of these people in particular. So Big E is a big one because we said the match with Goldberg, that was going to be something that wasn't necessarily a plan from the start, but we knew we'd get something out of it from a popularity boost, and sure enough, we did. Big E started at 64. By September, he was 73, but he just made a huge jump into the 80s now. So Big E getting pretty close to being, probably in our top 5 or 10, I would say, in terms of most popular people, which we'll go through this and look at it. Here's a really significant one. Cesaro has now jumped into the 70s, the mid 70s, which, again, you talk about momentum, like he's made a big jump in our series. So Cesaro has got a lot going on. Daniel Bryan, they're not really going to jump into that. He's at 84. It's kind of the same. Edge is the same. He stayed around 85. Let's look at Owens. He's back up to that 80. So really, Big E's kind of hit Kevin Owens. He's kind of caught up with him at this point. So Owens made that big jump in September. Only makes a small jump in October to this month. But that's okay. I mean, you just look at what he's done. I mean, he has just got all the momentum that there is on that. So Mansoor, oh, that's right. We did it anywhere, so he will be over, elsewhere. Montez Ford, here's another one, right? Because we've really made it a goal to push Montez Ford forward, and we've done that. Look at the big jump from September to October. He goes from 54 to 62 now. He got that win at Unforgiven, and we've really, kind of put him not in a main event slot, but we've surrounded him with more main eventers, and I think that's kind of it's working thus far. And it's, again, star quality is what I love. He's 75 overall, and I think Montez, there will be more to come with him, but I would expect his popularity to only get better from here. And now let's look at the Lucha Bros real quick, because spoiler alert, hope you watched Unforgiven. So here's what I was talking about when I said that. You looked at their segment rating, it was like a 62 or whatever it was, I think, off the top of my head at Unforgiven. So they're 53, this is Penta, and we look at his popularity. Certainly, he's more over let's see, what are we looking for here? He's more over in Mexico than he is anywhere else, but you kind of see here, like they started at a 40-something here, and so that's why they debut for us now at the end of September, so they're kind of standing there. He's at a 53. I don't think Ray Phoenix is much different. Yeah, so he's at a 53 too, although Ray's has got a 58 in the Southeast and Southwest. But that's what we were talking about, how the segment rating, not a huge deal. Ray Phoenix doesn't have a lot of star quality. He's got 68, which is solid, but look at his stats. His stats are great. And then when you look at Penta, Penta's got an 81 for star quality and all that. So I think that, that's what we said. He does have a poor gimmick. That was very unfortunate that we loaded up Penta as having a poor gimmick, and so that didn't work. But we will, hopefully he'll get better at that, and I think he's going to get penalized a little bit probably for that. But that's okay. We'll find a way to get these guys over, and certainly we have big plans for them, or we would not have brought them in and put them in that main event slot there. So that's what we were talking about with the popularity for the Lucha Bros. Randy Orton's at 80. I don't think that's changed all that much. He's kind of stayed in the same spot. Ray is jumping back up after going down a bit. I think that's how it was. He didn't go down that much, but so he's really stayed the same. He hasn't changed all that much throughout the series. So he got his championship match there. Sasha, an interesting one. She's kind of in the upper 60s now. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, so she's gone up and down a little bit, but she had a good month in September, so she makes the jump back up. She'll get to 70 pretty soon on there. Sheamus is in the 70s here, and I don't remember exactly where Sheamus was at. Yeah, so Sheamus made that big jump last month, that's right, and so he actually falls down a little bit here, but again, I don't have any concerns with Sheamus doing all that much. So there's Raw. Let's jump into SmackDown real quick, and we'll see what things look like there. Alexa Bliss, who was in our that one hasn't changed much. 64. She's certainly involved in a big storyline now. Apollo Crews, I think he's probably fell down since he's lost some matches. Actually, he's kind of stayed the same. So he's not really, factored in all that much. Bianca, as you see here, I mean, 74. We've talked about Bianca's popularity. I mean, she didn't really jump all that much September to October, but as we know too, she didn't have a pay-per-view either to boost any popularity. So SmackDown didn't have a pay-per-view that month, so that didn't really do a whole lot. Bray Wyatt's is 78. I think that's probably about the same. Yeah, so Bray's pretty much stayed the same the whole way. Damian Priest, there's the one we wanted to look at, right? So, Damian Priest, who had a huge jump recently, he didn't really make that big of a jump from September to October. But that's okay because, we look at it over a 4-month period here, whatever. He's jumped higher than anyone, I think, probably, when you just look at it from that standpoint. So, yeah, Damian Priest, very over, and I think he'll definitely, I'll just say this, I think he'll definitely get in the 70s by the time we do this for November. So, Drew's at about an 82, 83, so Drew's still one of our most popular stars, and certainly we have a storyline for him. The Usos, their popularity is starting to go back up with all these segments with Reigns. Goes up a little bit, not a whole lot. It's the same with Jimmy. Yeah, he's about a 64. So Cena's popularity, I think Cena really hasn't changed all that much. 86. Okay, so he's dropped, but he lost. So that's fine. Keith Lee, he's at a 60 now pretty much everywhere. I don't think that's changed all that much either. Yeah, so it goes up one. Keith Lee, man, released. What about all these WWE releases? You guys want me to release people? No, you don't. Of course you don't, because that's just, you shouldn't do that. So, anyways. Let's look at Paul Heyman, actually. He's an interesting one. Heyman, because he's, in all this stuff with Reigns, he's actually gone up a little bit here on that. Reigns, his popularity has really not done, I mean, it's really stayed the same, even as fantastic as he's been. I mean, he has not made any move whatsoever, but I mean, he was already very over. Sami Zayn's back up to a 64. He had gone down a little bit, I think, yeah, so he dropped last month, back up to a 64. With there, Joe also in the 60s, Seth in the 70s. He's probably dropped a little bit, I think. Okay, so he went back up from last month, yeah, because he lost those matches. So, and Nakamura is an interesting one because we haven't really used him all that much. But when you look at it here, his popularity is actually jumping in a lot of different places. We really haven't used him in a lot of spots. So that's an interesting one to me too. So yeah, that's kind of where things stand there. So anyone that's not on here, we didn't go through. They're not rated 60 or above anywhere. But I just want to kind of focus on that group in particular because those are obviously the ones that we're pushing and trying to kind of do some things with on that. We can look at our storylines real quick. If we go down through these here, that's the Styles storyline. I'm going to show you what the hottest storyline is right now. Cesaro and Sheamus actually got a 79, but they were involved in a lot of good stuff. Dre McIntyre. Dre McIntyre. Do you think we should rename him Dre McIntyre? I don't think so. Drew McIntyre. That segment was pretty over. Look at this Reigns storyline. 93. Incredible. But when you look at all this, I mean, all the stuff with The Rock and Reigns and Rollins and all of this, I mean, wow, just a 93. What a storyline. From a rating standpoint. And yeah, so like actually the Cesaro Sheamus stuff was our second biggest storyline right now, but this one right here is a beauty with this Roman Reigns stuff. So that I think is really a look at where things stand on that right now. And I guess we could quickly look at NXT for those who are intrigued and want to know what things look like in NXT right now. I mean, really, all the headlines are that NXT is just in a war with everyone. As we know, I guess if you look at like the size and everything, I mean, NXT size is going up, but that's fine. Triple H is kind of, I don't know if he's won the title there or not, but Karrion Kross, there's another guy. We talk about releases. Karrion Kross is still there as the champion. Cruiserweight champions, Kushida, I think, yeah, so he stayed there. Bronson Reed, so not really any title changes, I guess you could say. MSK is still there. Now, I did set it, just so you know, which this is really spoiling anything, but I did set it for Raquel Gonzalez to lose the NXT Women's title because she was getting called up, which, of course, she's already been on SmackDown. So that, I think, will probably, I have a feeling like Tuesday, so that the next episode, yeah, you'll probably know. We'll kind of look at real quickly to see who they decide to win the NXT Women's Championship. I'm kind of nervous about that one because I don't know who that's going to be. So we'll see. We'll see who they put the belt on in NXT there. But that's, kind of the state of NXT. I don't think there's a whole lot of, when you look at it there. I mean, I guess if you just want some insight into what the best matches have been on NXT, Karrion Kross defeating Adam Cole. Triple H's in a lot of them because, as we said, Triple H has come out of retirement. That happened very early in our game, and we kind of just left him in NXT to do his thing. But it's helping because it's helping the NXT's ratings. So, hey, we'll take what we can get, I guess. So that is a look at NXT. But there you have it. There is one more thing I wanted to look at here. Teams. So I did go in and make sure we had kind of our team slotted here, but there is something we're going to do real quick because I am going to actually add a team to this mix, and we are actually going to have a little fun with this because Liv Morgan and Toni Storm, who, as we know, made her debut at the pay-per-view, Unforgiven, as the mystery partner after Io Shirai's injury, well, I am actually going to make them a team here, and we are going to put them together as a unit, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually just going to put their names right now. We're going to put Liv and Toni, but what we're going to do is we're going to now have some interactive part of this. So Ben, who we know, Ben comments, great feedback in all the videos. I am fairly certain, and I may be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure Ben won the predictions contest. There wasn't a lot of predictions, but it's fine. We like to have fun with it. So, Ben, because you won the predictions contest for Unforgiven, here's what I want you to do. I want you to, in the comments, I want you to send 3 different team names. So 3 suggestions for a tag team name featuring Liv Morgan and Toni Storm. And then maybe we'll get everyone involved to kind of vote and decide which team name they prefer. So I know that's not a whole lot. Like, I'm not handing out prizes here, but you can, if you want to. I'd like to have some. I'm terrible at naming team names, as you can see here with Baszler and DeVille. It's very creative, right? But I want a team name for Liv Morgan and Toni Storm. I don't want to just call them Liv and Toni. This doesn't work. So I want a good name for them. So give us some suggestions. I'm going to let you handle this as your victory lap for winning the Unforgiven predictions. So 3 suggestions, and then we'll choose one and we'll talk about it in the next video on that. So Liv Morgan, Toni Storm, they're going to join the women's tag team ranks, and they'll still have matches, of course, separate. But I like the idea of that tag team, and I thought that when I was booking Unforgiven, I was thinking, all right, I actually like this unit here, and we could maybe do something with that moving forward. So there you go. There is a look at the state of WWE for October 2021. We are going to have a big October. I've already said it. Raw is going to be wild in October. There's no other way to put it. It's going to be a very wild month for Raw, but on SmackDown, we got a ton of momentum, and we are building to what I think is going to be a very fun No Mercy pay-per-view, which is going to feature several matches that I am very intrigued by, just based on how we're setting them up. And then we will get to Survivor Series, and before you know it, we are actually going to be talking about the Mae Young Classic, which is going to take place in December. The build will start not too far away from that, to be honest with you, because we will have to build the Survivor Series, then go straight into the Mae Young Classic 2 weeks after that. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic there, going from Survivor Series to, we're basically going to have, 4 different shows, big shows in a span of a month. So I think I've got it planned out to where it won't feel very overwhelming, and we won't be kind of short-sighting anything, but that is going to be probably one of the biggest challenges thus far in the save, is to book these 4 shows in a span of a month and be able to kind of, keep things fresh there. So, but I like it that way. I want to kind of, give myself a challenge there, and even doing this as a 2-night event, that's a challenge in and of itself. But I like the setup that we have in the plan. So, again, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I always love the feedback. As I always say, you guys are great. And just keep the feedback coming. And on the next episode in this series, it will be Raw for Week 1 in October, and it will be the fallout from Unforgiven. That will start our crazy journey for Raw over the next month or so. And then we will get into SmackDown, of course, after that. But the next episode on the channel is actually going to be a look at sort of our introduction to our next save, which it's going to be WCW 1998. I've seen a lot of people also since we did that say there's a lot of 1998 ones out there. I mean, there probably are, but I will tell you, like I have actually gone back and forth on this. Even with all the votes from '98, I've been thinking, man, I like 1998, and I think we're gonna do it. But like there is something too that I love about sort of that old school era of like the the '80s and '90s and all early '90s. Like there's just something that appeals to me with that too. But we'll stick with the '90s with the '98 for right now. But I do think at some point I would love to go back and do like the sort of golden era. With the WWF or whatever, when you've got Hogan, Savage, Perfect, Warrior, all those people. What a group that would be to book. So that's also kind of ruminating in my mind moving forward, but we'll get to that at some point perhaps. So again, thanks as always for the great feedback, and on the next episode of this particular save, it will be Raw for October, week 1, and next episode on the channel, it will be an introduction to our new WCW 1998 series.